Hi, welcome to the Friday edition. It's Friday already. Oh, we don't know what day it is. It's Thursday. No, it's Monday. No, it feels like Saturday. Welcome to the Good Morning Show with David Cohen. We have a couple of great guests today. Our first is Jason Slawosky, and he's an empath, highly intuitive Reiki master. He is working towards the certification as a clinical hypnotherapist. He considers his life mission to be helping others to heal and awaken, in particular men who don't always have that emotional support or who may feel spirituality is not manly. He has had many paranormal experiences throughout his life. His true awakening began just 5 years ago in 2015 and continues to this day. Since 2015, the paranormal experiences increased greatly and have led Jason to realize that the true nature of our universe is far greater and more magical than the vast majority of people understand or would even consider possible. As Jason moves forward on his journey, he continues to seek truth, knowledge, and hopes to share it with anyone willing to expand their mind and experiences. So Jason, welcome, man. Nice to see you today.
It's good to see you, David. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, a pleasure. And you've got your big Tim Hortons, so you're all ready to go. Go ahead, take sips if you need. I got my water with me.
Okay.
So my first question is, you know, on Facebook, you say that you were into precision drilling. Now you're working with Wayjacks, and you had a career as a roughneck with the Alberta Government doing precision drilling. How do you go from that to becoming a healer, Reiki practitioner, and then start a healing practice called Red Black Bear? How did that all happen?
Oh wow, that's a great big question. And actually, just to add to, I actually worked in law enforcement for almost a decade. I was a commercial vehicle enforcement officer for 5 years, and then I worked in a jail for almost 5 years too. So
wow.
So that even makes a little bit more interesting. And how? Oh wow. I mean, the simple answer, I guess, is that was just, you know, at a soul level, that was just my path that I chose, is, you know, to awaken to different abilities and knowledge. And I mean, the jobs, I don't know, I think they were just, I think it was a timing thing. I mean, I just had to go through life, and I mean, I was 35 when I really started waking up to things, and I think that was just the divine timing of it. So, but it's weird. It's like it's almost as if the whole thing, like everything I did leading up to sort of now in the last several years, we're just sort of filling in time. I don't know necessarily. I could have had any other career, and I think eventually I would have been led here. It was just this underlying sort of just something within me that it's hard to explain. I mean, I've had lots of experience throughout my life. Like some stuff I don't remember. Starting when, you know, when I was really little. I mean, my mom used to always tell me that, or she told me how I would see light, like I would talk about the stuff around my room. I would see
Wow.
stuff all the time. I don't remember that now. And then, you know, just different things. Like when I was a teenager, you know, things I remember, just the kind of typical stuff, like thinking about a person and then they call you, that sort of thing.
Wow.
And then when, you know, I got to be older into my 30s, it was just, I just started, it just got stronger and stronger and stronger that, you know, I had to start delving into these things. So yeah, and in 2015, I was finally like, okay, it's really time to start. And so I did.
So, you know, as you state, your life purpose is to help others heal and find their joy and be their best versions of themselves. And the reason I wanted to have you on as a guest today, Jason, is because for the men that are watching this journey you've been on, this healing journey as well, and the fact you do energy work is really a road less traveled. And, you know, when did you discover that this work that you do now, helping men, was the thing that brought you joy?
That's a good question.
Dude, I only ask good questions.
That's the hard ones. It's a really good question, because it's just something you don't really think about as you're going. Things just kind of unravel and unfold, and you don't even think about it. But I guess when it really started bringing me joy is, just the first few guys I started working with, or not even necessarily working with, even just having a conversation and getting some response. Like, it's very common with men. They'll say something to the effect of, I've always kind of been interested in this stuff, but I never knew where to go, who to ask, how to find some of the information. And I mean, you look at me, I got the beard and I'm covered in tattoos, and I'm not exactly a small person. So I feel like when other guys see me and talk to me, and they're like, okay, well, if it's okay for you to do this, it's okay for me. So just giving them that confidence where they thought, maybe they felt for some reason they'd be ridiculed or something. I don't know what their personal hang up might have been. But when I hear that somehow in talking to me that, it somehow made it okay for them, and just showed them that, what people can, or men in particular, can do this kind of work and have these kind of conversations, and it's okay. And I mean, nobody's going to ridicule you if they do. So what? That's their problem, not yours.
Right.
So that's where I started feeling the joy, is just having those kind of conversations with other men.
There's a post you put up on your Facebook page on the red, black bear, about men holding back the tears because inside he may feel drained, confused, lost. And then when he shows up in public, he puts on the brave face, the bravado, the smile appears, as if nothing's really wrong. Where do men become disconnected to their true selves and their hearts, Jason, in your estimation? And you worked in the prison system, so I'm sure there's a lot of disconnection going on there too, right?
Yeah. I think that's just the conditioning. I mean, I think it's less now. I think it's becoming more socially acceptable, and more men are raising their sons to be in touch with their feelings, and and women especially are teaching their sons. It's very, very, very positive to be in touch with your feelings and express them. But even from, like, I'm 41 right now, so when I was young, it wasn't really okay. Not even so much that, like, my parents wouldn't necessarily discourage me from talking about feelings and being in touch with my feelings and expressing them, but I wasn't encouraged to either.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they did anything wrong by any means. It's just probably didn't think about it. So I think it's just the societal conditioning. I mean, you watch TV and movies. I mean, now it's becoming more regular where the male characters are portrayed as sensitive and stuff like that. But when you go back to the 80s and 90s, I mean, what did men do? They shot at people. They were cops. They were in the army. They were firefighters. Not a lot of sensitive guys sharing your feelings and willing to cry if they need to, right?
Yeah, and it's hard to be sensitive when you're driving a Firebird with the fuzzy dice.
Exactly.
Right? What are some warning signs that maybe that pain that we're feeling, the stress or the emptiness, much better, Patricia, is starting to
I know.
with our day-to-day lives? Like, what are some warning signs that start to show up that the pain we might be holding on to, the stress or the emptiness sometimes that we all feel, starts to interfere with our day-to-day lives? I'll just leave it at that.
What are some of the warning signs? Wow, that's a good question. You're really I love your questions. Warning signs. I would say when you just start, biggest one, when you start feeling more negative emotions, more fear-based, if that's where you spend the majority of your day and you're not able to work through it. I mean, everybody will feel negativity at some point, but the key is to work through it or get help working through it. When it starts to become more frequent and starts to becoming overwhelming or more time consuming, I would say that's a huge red flag. Others, I mean, if you start turning to substances or anything like that, if you start maybe you used to have a glass of wine on Fridays, but now it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like something like that.
Starting at
increase negative habits. And not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with a glass of wine, but I'm just saying if things start increasing or certainly if people start asking, if the people that love you and know you the best start, maybe making comments or asking if you're okay, or if they express worry about you.
So take
and then, other things would be just a decrease in doing the things you love. Like if you have a hobby or something like that, and you're not into it, you're doing it less frequently. So that's another good warning sign.
Wow. Thanks, man. So what can men do to begin to heal? What are some key things maybe we need to think about or maybe begin to do?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, obviously talking to trusted friends and family and letting those emotions out, journaling, even just as a basic, that would be probably the easiest, most basic thing that I would say any man, especially like, again, if we're going back to somebody who's not really too open or keen in talking about their feelings, journaling is super, super therapeutic. And it's private, so that's a really, really easy one for most men to start with. Just journaling, getting your feelings out, that can help a lot. Then from there, I would say talking to friends and family, people you trust, maybe professional help. And the biggest thing that's helped a lot for me, the thing I've done the most probably, is listening to like podcasts and YouTube videos, such as we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've always found listening to these, sometimes you can feel like you're part of this conversation, and some stuff will really, really resonate. So, rather than sitting down and watching whatever sitcom for the 10th time, search podcasts and just reach out to this kind of information and, books.
Okay.
The first one Patricia ever recommended to me that I love, and I've bought so many copies of it and loaned it out and I never get it back, is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. That's right. One of the greatest books anybody, because I mean that internal self chatter, that can be a huge percentage of the problem to begin with.
Yeah, I call mine Krusty the Clown. Yeah. So you imagine, Krusty from The Simpsons, right? Now for my favorite part of the
yeah.
Oh, but mine is like warp speed, right? And he's super negative, and he sits on the couch in a t-shirt, in boxer shorts, drinking beer and smoking, which I don't do, and he watches sports all day, and he's got a bad comb over, and he's telling me like, don't bother, man, give up. Like, what's the point? Yeah. Can you relate to that?
Yeah.
Walk us through how you've helped a guy heal, or a man heal, or one of your clients heal. What happened? Why did they come in to see you in the first place? And also, this is a 3-part question. And is there a commonality in terms of men's issues that you see in the clients you work
with? Okay. Repeat it one more time, just so
okay. First of all, walk us through somebody you helped heal and what happened.
Okay. And what was the second part?
Oh, no, let's start with that, and then I'll get to the others, because
okay.
Geez, I'll forget.
Well, the one I'm trying to, just give me a second. I'm just trying to think of, because I gotta. There's also hit. Okay, I won't use too many specifics. Just yeah. There was just one guy. I mean, I'm still trying to help him. But one in particular is just, and it's kind of close because I think about him a lot, because I'll see him and then I don't see him for a long time. But just a gentleman that I know that was working through some addiction issues, and how it's affecting it's affecting his family. So, so walking through that, I've done sort of just a sit-down meeting with him and his mother, and then one-on-one phone calls, some hypnotherapy sessions with his mother, and now it's trying to get him back for hypnotherapy and energy healing. And it's one of these situations where so we book something and then it gets canceled. So that's sort of an ongoing one, but the progress has been pretty good, because I've actually been, I've helped his mother with the healing, and with him just at least got the progress to the openness that there is something that needs to be healed, and the openness to the energy work, because that's something he's never been open to before.
So Patricia, our next guest here, says you helped heal her husband Fiorenzo. What happened there?
Oh, that one. So, he had an injury at one of those trampoline parks. So, highly recommend you stay away from those. And
at your own risk.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, he because it was such a serious injury, he ended up in like a medical home for several months. So I would go see him 2 or 3 times a week and do energy healing on him. And I think Patricia can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was out and walking and hobbling around before the doctors even thought he'd be out of bed.
Wow. Is that how you two met? No?
No. Actually, Patricia, the way we met in 2015, when I was like, oh my goodness, it's time. I need to get my button gear and start doing something now. And I needed, like, Patricia was my first teacher. Patricia's like my kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2 teacher. So she's like, I'm always like, no matter what, I will always remember Patricia, because she just kind of like, we sat down and she pointed me in the right direction. And she was the first, like, I have lots of psychic friends now. She was the first one that ever just blew my mind with pulling something that I hadn't told anybody, and she just pulled it out of thin air and was like, oh, so they're telling me this and this and this. I was like, whoa, how could you possibly know that? So, I mean, I've always been open to psychics and everything. Absolutely been open to it. I've had lots of psychic experiences myself, but she was the first time in another person who was like, okay, I'm psychic, and like absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt proved it.
Wow.
Yeah.
We were talking about men's healing, and even like in Fiorenzo's case, I hear a lot of people in the sort of the healing circle say that when you have an affliction or an injury or something, that you caused it. It's your fault. It means something. Sometimes I think it doesn't mean anything other than it just happened. It's like a bad luck, It's like I zigged when I should have zagged. What's your take on that?
On which, I mean, I think both are true. I think sometimes things just happen, and you can find a lesson in them, but some things deliberately happen because you need a lesson out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was asking, about working with men. Are there commonalities in terms of men's issues that you see in the clients you work with? There's something that keeps back or
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, the men, a lot of the men I've worked with, I mean, I should say a lot of them, but like one of the more common things is certainly addiction issues, various addiction issues, and then there's anger, there's anger issues, and I mean, the one thing I find too is it's what a lot of people struggling with anger management and anger issues. they really don't want to be that person. I mean, I used to have a lot of anger myself.
Sure.
And I really understand it. It's not something that, you walk around feeling happy because you're an angry person.
No.
Most people do it. So yeah, definitely like anger, working with anger and doing that instant in the moment when you start feeling triggered to try and recognize that and mitigate that immediately before you do or say something. So that's another common one for sure. And then the other is just and just for whatever reason, a lot of men just they need to be shown and helped to know that they can talk, they can express their feelings. That's another one, like is just feeling that they have to bottle up feelings. And the funny thing is too, when you start talking about it, more often than not, it comes up they really don't have a good reason. Like they can't pinpoint why they feel they should bottle up their emotions and not talk. They don't have a good reason. It's just something they do, and they So again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, just the conditioning, I think.
Yeah, there's a song I remember. I was listening actually to classic rock station this morning, and they played 10cc. Okay, for the kids out there, this is before your time. This is in the 70s. But trust me, there was a band called 10cc, a British band, and the song was "Be quiet, big boys don't cry, big boys don't cry." You remember that song? Well, maybe you're too young.
I don't remember it, but I can imagine.
You got to go listen to Q107 in Calgary, okay? So they'll play it in a while. So, and so you're right, we are conditioned to not cry and not to show that emotion or a hurt or a pain. And sometimes, though, that pain then adds up, and it's so much that we numb it out with an addiction, as you were saying, or we tuck it under the rug, like my former marriage. I used to tuck it under the rug. Oh, it'll go away. It'll be okay. It'll work itself out, right? Or don't address it, or out of fear or repercussions. How would you coach or guide a guy who's doing just this, this kind of behavior?
Well, again, it'd be I would definitely be recommending some journaling just to kind of get the start, and just baby steps in expressing feelings to whoever the appropriate person is. Like, so if we're talking about a spouse, then I would certainly be recommending that they take whatever steps to open that communication. I mean, whether it's having a conversation or maybe writing them a letter or anything just to get the communication flowing.
Yeah. So Patricia wanted to ask you, how did you heal her husband? Aside from the Reiki, like how because here he is, he had a serious injury or on the trampoline. That sounds like something I would do, but anyway, how did it all sort of play out?
Well, what exactly do you mean? How did it play out? Like you're like so I was doing it.
Ask it, Patricia. You want to jump in here?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, no, I think he answered it before. He would actually come to the hospital, sneak into the room, and friends would be passed out sleeping because of whatever pain meds that they were giving him. And he would sneak in there and go do Reiki and then sneak out. And like, we wouldn't even know until the nurses would tell us. And to me, that's a true friend. Like, I wouldn't even know he was coming. He just had his own agenda, own schedule, just come in. Everybody knew him there. He's Big J. And he would come in and do Reiki. And that means more to me. I've never even had a family member or a best friend who did more for my family and us in that moment. And when I ask about, I told him to ask you about how we met. Because Jason for me is a client gone wrong. He's a client gone wrong. He became family. We adopted him. He's part of the family. He has Thanksgiving dinner with us. He at Sunday dinners. He's over here. He's like an uncle to my boys. And but yeah, he was a client gone wrong because he came to me for life coaching, and eventually we just became such good friends. And it is like an instant best friend, brother, sister. Like the one thing that I love about Jason is that a woman knows when a guy is checking her out. Jason's never done that to me. I love that about him. He's the most respectful, beautiful human being I think I've ever met. And we just, our whole family just has the utmost total regard and love for Jason for what he's done for us, because he always rises. He always does. Even with me, whenever I'm going through anything, or when I'm in pain, because I've got a bad neurological condition, Jason's who I'll call. If my pain's out of control, I'm calling Jason. He's better than any Tylenol. His Reiki's out of this world. And I mean, I don't even think it's Reiki. I think it's his own energy on steroids, almost, like, not like he's on steroids, but you know what I mean? His energy is so strong that it doesn't feel like just regular Reiki. It feels so much more. So it's really cool to see Jason, how far he's come. Because when he first came to me, can I tell him the t-shirt story?
Sure.
He was wearing this t-shirt that had the Hulk on it and says, "I'm angry all the time."
Right.
Yeah. And so I looked at him and said, "And you wonder why you're angry all the time? Look, you're advertising it. You're the poster child of this." I'm like, "You need to burn that shirt, get rid of it." So yeah, I made him get rid of it, because it's just like, yeah, you have to bring your resonance up to one where you want to be. And if you're wearing slogans that are offensive or give a lower energy vibration, like "I'm angry all the time," of course you're going to feel that resonance because it's the clothes that you have on. Right. Yeah. So even that, like, and it just makes sense once you point these little things out. It's the music that we listen to. I used to listen to Eminem all the time, but I don't vibrate with that kind of trauma and pain anymore. So the music that I listen to is now more like India RE, I Am Light. You know what I mean? Like that kind of music. And it changes you from the inside out. Totally. So I didn't mean to jump in and like, sorry.
You know, that also,
I just wanted to point out how amazing.
Well, we're almost going to you in a sec. So, but Jason, in terms of healing, you know, if you studied Dr. Emoto, he passed away a few years ago, but he did the water thing. And so he took 2 sets of water and then froze them. But on one set, it was like, "You're ugly, you're horrible, you're bad, whatever." And then he said, in the other set, you know, "You're beautiful, I love you." And then when they were frozen, he took them out, and the ones that had the nice message were beautiful crystals, like snowflakes, and the others that had the negative messages were really dark and nothing formed. So that's like us as human beings, you know. We're water. We're 98% water, or 97% water.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's just like Patricia just said. So then that's just like, you know, everything we take in. So whatever we surround ourselves with, whether it be the music we listen to, the food we're eating, the Hulk programming we didn't wear anymore, the television, what's around your house. Like, I mean, my house, I got this, I love this painting. I got painting like that all around my house, just stuff that makes me feel calm, makes the energy calm and peaceful. I got crystals everywhere. And I mean, people come here and people comment on that all the time. They're like, "Wow, it's just really peaceful and calm here." So that's sort of the same thing. So, I mean, if you were to cut me open, I'm probably all kinds of fancy crystals too.
I've got a couple lying around. So I got a mini one. So that's my mini one. And yeah, you're right. You know, so my last question for you is this.
Okay.
When one does take on the healing journeys, you know, once they look at that pain inside, because I think that's what we're really afraid of. It's like, ooh, I got to look at that, you know. What usually awaits on the other side of it, Jason? Like, what's on the flip side of sadness, depression, anger, and then what begins to show up? Well,
ultimately, if you do it right, hopefully you're going to find some joy. So now it really depends on what the anger or sadness is coming from and the reason. But hopefully you can look at it as an opportunity to learn and grow, and whatever lesson you're meant to learn out of it, or whatever experience you're supposed to have, I would say the idea is to recognize the opportunity for that growth, and come out across better for having experienced it and feel that joy. So, and I mean, and it could be either like, you know, whether it's a short-term pain or anger or a long-term sort of thing. Like, honestly, for me personally, I went through a really bad divorce, and then like over a decade of custody issues, and all I was trying to do,
so relate. Yeah.
Yeah, and all I wanted to do was actually be able to see my kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my son is the most important person in my world. He always has been. He always will be. And for that decade, I mean, I went through hell, because like I literally, when I was supposed to have him, like when I was supposed to pick him up, say on a Thursday or Friday, like Sunday, Monday, my anxiety would start building right up until hopefully I got to pick him up, because I didn't know if I was going to get a last minute phone call saying, sorry, you can't see him because I made some other plans.
Mm-hmm.
And it was terrible going through it. It really, really was. But honestly, given the opportunity, if you gave me a you know, if there's a genie beside me right now and said I can make that all go away and you can relive that with happiness, I wouldn't do it. Just because going through that has made me appreciate everything else and appreciate where I've gotten to so much more. And it's also helped me, because I mean, that's another one that's really common with men is going through stuff with
Mm-hmm.
custody and having access to their kids. So that's one thing I can definitely relate to and draw on personal experience and help people through that.
Yeah, I've been there exactly. I probably should have worn your T-shirt actually at that point in my life too. So, yeah, I want to really thank you for this, man.
Well, thank you for this. This has been an awesome chat, and really appreciate you and what you're doing.
The feeling's mutual. I feel the same about you and Patricia. Where do we reach you if we want to work with you?
So, easiest thing, I got two. I got a website, but it's sort of still under construction.
Okay.
But you can go there and at least get my contact info, and you could actually book a consultation through it, and that's redblackbear.com.
Okay.
And the Facebook page is Red Black Bear Intuitive Healing. So those would be the two. And then of course, I don't know if people want to search me on Facebook, they could send me a friend request. It's just Jason Slawosky, and if you have the spelling of my last name in the notes or something, then people can just search me through that.
Sounds great. Jason, thank you, man. This was good.
Thank you.
Now you can hang out with Patricia and I, which you probably have seen enough of each other over the isolation period. Our next guest is Patricia Monna, and she's an internationally known psychic medium, spiritual advisor, and founder of Psychic Awareness Retreats. Patricia, which I guess you could still do a retreat, but 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Well,
I was supposed to be doing one in Sedona next month. Let's take 25 ladies down there. So unfortunately, it's got to be postponed until 2021.
Or the fall, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the fall or sooner. But you've also dedicated your time and expertise, and this is really cool, to local and international law enforcement agencies from around the world to help locate missing persons and bring closure to victims of homicide, kidnapping, or unexplained disappearances. Have you found Jimmy Hoffa yet? That's what I want to know. In addition to locating missing persons, Patricia meets privately with clients in her office located in Calgary, Alberta as well. Now, I got to just, before we get into our discussion, I want to let those watching today that I met both Jason and Patricia on Facebook on a group I belong to, and they were posting that they were offering free meditations every night at 9:30 Eastern time, 7:30 Calgary time. And they did this like once the isolation and COVID-19 pandemic really kicked into sort of overdrive in mid-March, around March 12th. I don't have the exact date. But at first I didn't pay attention because personally I was a little bit, off kilter the first week or two at the start of the pandemic. I was like in a bit of fear and shock and a bit of denial too. It's like, is this really happening? It's almost surreal.
I know.
Right? But by week 2, I think I began to tap into your Facebook Live meditations. You're doing them every day, and it was really helping me heal. And also, I felt, oh, I'm contributing my energy and my healing powers too to the collective. And now you're down to 2 days a week because it's a grind, 7 days a week. You have to have a life too, right? And you both have kids.
Well, I teach other classes as well. I teach psychic development classes, and it started overlapping because my regular classes are from 7 to 8:30, and we were starting that one at 7:30. So it was I kind of ran into my other classes. So we're down to 2 days a week.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing with this show too. So I gotta say, I'm really glad I did tap into you because I got to make a new connection and pray for healing and sending out healing energy to the frontline workers and those that have been adversely affected by the pandemic worldwide. And so without further ado, I'm really thrilled to have Patricia, who's with us, and we're going to delve deeper into the spiritual meaning behind the corona pandemic. So welcome, officially.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What a delight. Both of you are just like so giving of your time and energy. I want to tap in, first of all, to a little bit of the work you do. You were a nurse. When did you make the switch from being a nurse to the work you do now as a spiritual advisor and intuitive psychic?
So I was a palliative oncology nurse for 13 years. And in 2008, I became really ill with a neurological condition called erythromelalgia. My sodium channels don't close. So my nerves are constantly registering pain. And so one day at work, my legs gave out from underneath me. And so I was actually on disability for about 1.5 years. And that was really tough to handle because that happened in my early 30s. And so I figured, what am I going to do? Because I didn't just go to school to become a nurse. I specialized. It took 8 years. Some of those years were part-time, but it still took 8 years to get my university finished and completed to where I wanted to be. And then all of a sudden my legs give out from underneath me and the doctors are like, it was physio and rehab and you name it. It was really bad. And then in 2011, I ended up buying a holistic wellness center. Everything I owned, I took all the equity, everything I had. And it was my favorite little psychic store that I ended up talking to the owner, and I found out that she wanted to sell it. And it was like, I put my hand out and shook on that deal before I even knew what I was saying. So a complete whirlwind going from nursing to retail and owning an actual big, it was pretty big. Like we had 27 different practitioners working for me at one point.
Wow.
And so, but I had started doing readings in that time when I was basically holed up in bed with my legs. I'd started doing readings. And before I had even done my first person-to-person reading, I found my first missing person. And so it just kind of snowballed from there. And it was very difficult to come out of the closet and say that I'm a psychic medium because there are a lot of skeptics out there. And I come from a medical background. So for me, I like combining the science behind this stuff so that I can prove my abilities. For me, I think it's very important as a psychic to be able to prove what I'm saying and back up what I'm saying. So I try to collect as much proof as I can, whether it's with my missing person cases, like I've got RCMP recommendations, I've got recommendations from search and rescue, just a bunch of different ones so that I can show people like, no, look, I really did find, now I'm up to 27. Last Thursday, I found out I found my 27th missing person. So yeah, that was a pretty cool day to hear that.
What's the process of that? Like, how do you see them located?
How do I do it?
Yeah, how do you do it? And yeah.
Well, every single person, just like a thumbprint, has a very unique resonance signature when it comes to energy. And I'm extremely sensitive to energy. Very, very, very sensitive. So if I can tune in to the energy of a person, I can find them. It doesn't matter where they are. If they're alive, I can see through their eyes if I want to, or see from the bird's eye view if I want to. It's just a matter of merging consciousness. So if you know the resonant signature of a person, whether they're dead or alive, they're out there. And I can find them because I know how to be able to tune into energy. So what I do is I need a picture of who it is that I need to find, and I do my little tune in, and then I have to take what I see up here and plot it on Google Earth. I have to take, and for me, I've got to take these little pins and drop pins of where I need to tell the police or the search and rescue to go and look. But it can be very tedious and time consuming because I have to take what I see up here and literally find it on Google Earth. So if I see a blue dumpster, we'll say over here, and there's a green building over here in my head, I have to find that on Google Earth. And so I combine about 7 different modalities or ways to look in. I do coordinate professional remote viewing. I do mediumship. I am a psychic where I can look into futures and past and be able to see it, because there really is no such thing as time. It's just a construct. It's a perspective. So as long as you have memories of the incident, I can see it. I can see into people's memories and look through their eyes. I know that sounds wonderful. It's helped me find 27 missing people, so it works.
Wow. So you have to be good at marketing. I mean, how did you build a name and get known in that field?
That's the thing. That's the thing that I find so funny. I have never advertised in my life, ever, and I don't believe in that. As a psychic medium, if you got to advertise, you need to get out of the business.
Right.
Because if you're good, people talk. And here's the other thing too. If you're bad, people scream. They cannot wait to crucify you. So in 10 years, I've got a pretty good track record where you can see the 5 out of 5 stars on Facebook and on Google and stuff. Because for me, it's super important that when a person sits before me and trusts me with their life, I give a 100% money back guarantee. I am actually cocky enough to do that. I am, because it's all, I know my job. I know I can do it. So I feel way better offering that, because I would never want anyone walking out of my office going, that was a waste of time. What a scam artist. Right. What was that all about? No, because there's way too many people like that hold their hand out and are looking for money. No way. Same thing with missing people. I have never, ever, ever, ever charged for a missing person case, and I never will. I truly believe that if God gave me this crazy ability to be able to track a missing loved one, I feel like it's my God-given duty to do it. So I try to do as many as I can. But one thing that I've learned over the years is I can't take on too many, because it is like looking into memories. It's looking into dreams, right? And so if I have 3 missing men, 2 of them that drown or are in water, and this has happened before, that's why I say this, I flipped it, where the one body was found in the one place and the other body that I was looking for was found in the other place that I thought he was in. So I don't like it when lines got crossed. So I was still accurate, wrong body. So I try not to do that. I try not to take on too many cases at once.
Yeah. And do they come to you now? Like the police?
Yeah, well, yes, they always have. I never take looky-loo cases, or it has to be the lead investigator on the file if they want me, or it has to be the immediate family, meaning mom, dad, brother, sister, has to be. Because the reason why is you don't want this information getting into the wrong hands. What if a perpetrator called me and said, I want you to try and find this? Or what if it was a husband who, and this has happened before, actually my very first missing person case was a woman who had been abused and faked her death to get rid of her husband. Or to get away from her husband.
Wow.
And within 4 hours of me producing my coordinates, she was found. And that's always stuck with me. What did I put her back into? So, but I didn't know. It was my very first case, right? But if I ever see that again, where it's spousal abuse or it's a person at risk, I turn down the case. I will not take it and sometimes people leave for a reason.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people don't want to be found. A lot of them are suicide. I've only done 1 or 2 cases where the person left and didn't want to be found. But most of the ones that I do are either homicide or suicide.
So we were talking off air today about the meaning behind the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few points I want to touch on here. From a purely ecological point of view, and since we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Earth Day this week, it's like Mother Earth is doing a little bit of healing at this time.
Detoxing, yep.
Yeah.
Her temperature is rising.
Mm-hmm.
So through this,
She's
I really
too, Jason. Maybe she needs a little more healing.
No doubt. She needs a plug in and channel that energy and heal her.
Exactly.
But I personally think that Mother Earth is absolutely detoxing. Her temperature is on the rise. Look at the Schumann resonance. It normally sits at 7.83 hertz, and it has been off the charts since all of this began. So the Schumann resonance is Mother Nature's heartbeat, which normally, like I said, sits at 7.83 hertz. Well, it has been going up to 60. The other day it reached 110. Like, that's crazy. It's basically like saying Mother Earth is having a fever, right? Or it's like she's going for the biggest jog of her life, or it's like she's birthing and she's in labor. But Mother Earth is mad. There's something where her resonance is even feeling the shift. So we're definitely going through an ascension period, whether we believe in it or not. It doesn't matter. You watch how many more people, thank God for social media, because we can all talk about the signs and symptoms of ascension, and so people know that they're not alone. Because headache, restlessness, not being able to sleep, feeling the emotional roller coaster when 1 minute you're fine and the next minute you just feel like crying for no reason. Those are all ascension symptoms. It's a detox, right? It's a detox. Think of people who are detoxing from drugs or alcohol. It's not pretty.
No.
It's not pretty. It's dark night of the soul stuff, right? That's what's happening for a lot of people. And Jason knows, because Jason's been one of my clients and BFFs for a long time, but I have been talking about this shift since about 2014. I've been talking about it. And I try to give as many tools to my clients as I can, such as meditation, prayer, breathing in that light, changing your own energy, because the only way that we can shift this world is to start with ourselves. That's the only thing we have control over. And in my line of work, it can be very frustrating when I see a solution for someone and they don't want to take it, but that's still their path. So before we mess around or go rush in and help someone, we do need to be aware and be careful. Are we messing with their karma? Because there's a lot of people that are being slapped in the face right now with karma, and it has to come up. Just like what Jason said, how, for those 10 years, it was the worst thing that he went through, but he learned so much and he wouldn't change it. Same thing with me. The pain that I had in my legs and still have, well, not as much now, but that pain gave me this. Had I not gone through the worst excruciating pain of my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be in full control of my life. As a nurse, I loved it. I love being able to help people, but you can't fix a broken system. And if you go above and beyond, you're written up for that. You're written up for that if you're too kind.
Yeah.
Because then they accuse you of getting too close to the patients. You give someone a hug. That's unprofessional. When they're dying and scared to death and bawling, you're going to give them a hug and risk your job. Because it's the right thing to do. That's a human being. But guess what? They will write you up for that.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Our healthcare system, leaving was the best thing I ever did. And I worked in a nursing home for, 10 of those 13 years, and then straight hospice for the last 3. And the amount of abuse that takes place in those nursing homes, it would make your skin crawl. Well, guess what's coming to light through this virus? All the abuse is coming to the surface. There's finally been charges. Those charges, it shouldn't have taken a virus for the health region to finally look into those places. And as a nurse, you're not allowed to say anything. You got a gag order on you. They can sue you big time. Even this, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I'm saying it anyways. I've been out long enough that I don't care. So,
yeah,
but it's scary.
it is. And do you think some of the elderly that are leaving us, maybe they've just had enough already and they
Yeah,
just want
yeah.
yeah.
The vibration is changing, and the old ways are no longer sustainable on this earth. And so bodies are breaking down with the new vibration. That's what I think is happening.
So
But the healthy bodies, the ones that are vibrating at a healthier physical energetic rate, they're the ones that seem to be almost immune to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got it. So let's look at some of the issues that we can control here. You know, if we're home isolating, you know, we have an opportunity right now to look within a little bit more, where we can choose life, we can choose hope, we can choose faith or fear. Do you want to talk about this a little bit more?
Yeah, well, I think that right now, us being called home, it is very symbolic of what it is that we need to take care of. We need to take care of what's inside. And that goes for the spirit too, and the body, because the body houses the spirit, right? So it is a time of inner reflection. And here's the thing, I've noticed two roads with people. You can be on the road to healing and work with this energy, because here's the thing, energy doesn't know good or bad. It's defined by the user. I can look at something and think it's the greatest thing that ever happened, and you can look at it the same and go, oh my God, that's the worst thing that ever happened, right? Mm-hmm. It's all perspective, it's all how we look at it. So even with this time, I've heard of people, and me being one of them, I'm full of peace. I'm okay. I have my moments where it almost feels like my energy gets too close to the energy of the collective, and then I just back off. I don't need to get into the energy of the collective. I'm sitting in my little bubble of light. So if that's one thing that people should be doing before you even set out of the house. Get your bubble on, breathe light all through your chakras, let it spill out all over you, and set the intention for the day that there's nothing that can stick to you. There's nothing dark that can stick to you. Because I got to tell you, there is such thing as an auric field. Trust me, I do demonstrations where you can literally see the auric field of people in my classes. And it does change. We all know what a good mood feels like, a bad mood feels like. It's energy, right? Same thing with, it's happening right now, so I just thought I'd bring it up. But the ringing in the ears, I bet you a lot of people are noticing the ringing happening more frequently and a higher pitch. Well, that's the Schumann resonance on the rise, and our body is picking it up. We can actually hear the tones of the frequencies that are happening around us, right? So things like meditation is going to help protect your energy. Anything that brings you into peace, into the now, mindfulness, protect your thoughts. Don't get into the negativity. Do not attach yourself to other people's drama right now, because everyone's going through something, whether it's financial, physical, mental, emotional, health-wise. I'm telling you, everyone's going through something. Even if it's people stuck at home with their kids, that's enough to drive people crazy.
Yeah.
You know? So we're all going through something, but it's very important not to touch other people's karma, to help raise them up instead, to help bring them light. But you don't need to attach to their story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you want to be detached.
Yeah.
Be there with them. So as Jason and I were talking about, be there with somebody else's pain or their challenges.
Yes.
But
you can't take on their stuff.
You can't take it on, and you can't fix it. Yeah. They've got to fix it. They got to go through it, right?
So it is very dark night of the soul stuff that's happening for a lot of people. I will say this. The book that totally changed my life was Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. So for anyone who is going through the dark night of the soul, it's spirit trying to get your attention. Look up, people. Flipping look up. There really is a God. There is angels. I wouldn't have a job if there wasn't. Trust me, people know their lives. You cannot BS a person and stay in business for 10 years. Trust me. You can't. People know their lives.
So what's God calling on us to do right now?
To clean up our act, big time. To no longer, the old ways have to fall away. It has to be about us, not me versus you. It has to be about us moving forward. And so I really hope that people get that point. Because the collective needs a lot of healing. There's a lot of people in a lot of pain right now. And I think all we can do as light workers is help to raise them up. And I think that that's why, even with Jason, when he went through his dark night of the soul, I was there for him. When I went through my dark night of the soul, Ellie, the lady who I bought my shop from, she's my angel. She was there for me. God will always give you a person. Always. Look around. You will always have a teacher when you're ready to learn. The universe will give you one, right? But I know that I had to go through my dark side night of the soul around that 2009. Well, my father was killed in 2004, and that was enough to do me under. He was my best friend. Mm-hmm. And that was the beginning of my own personal dark night of the soul stuff. But it really hit me hard when I had to leave my career due to health reasons. And so it was a rough 7 years. And it's interesting how we cycle in sevens, because at the end of that 7 years, I became the teacher instead of the person writhing on the floor in pain. I was now then showing people how to get off the floor, how to get up, brush off the dirt and keep going. Yeah. And I never, ever in a million years thought I would get there. I never did. So we got to bless the bullshit. Excuse my French, but we do. Bless the bullshit.
That was my next question, because on a podcast Zoom call you did a couple of weeks ago, you said you got to bless the BS.
Yeah, bless it, because it's fertilizer for your dreams. It is. And you don't know what's coming up later. The coolest thing about all of this and how it's all connected, even to the BS, I welcome the BS now instead of shy away from it. I embrace it and love what I hate. Because had my dad not died the way he died, when he died, how he died, I never, ever I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you. That's what changed my life. That was the catalyst for the biggest change. My legs was just something else, right? My abilities went from 0 to 1,000 when my dad died. And so it's in the journey. You can't skip steps. It's in the journey. So no matter where you're at in pain, understand that it is going to serve a purpose. And the craziest thing is what stings seems to stick. And it's almost like your biggest pain, you wait 10 years or even 7 years. And that will be your biggest gain. It's a pain for a reason. It's hitting a nerve for a reason. And if you can heal it in a positive way, instead of shoving it down and getting angry or drunk or stoned or any of that, you can, what you heal in yourself, you can then heal in another, because you figured it out. And what you heal in another, you amplify that healing within yourself. You do. Yeah. We're all one. What I do to you, I do to me.
Yeah. And what Jason was saying too, I mean, you know, when he went through the marriage stuff and the custody, he wouldn't have traded that 10 years. And now he has more compassion.
It caused him to
someone else. Yeah, I totally get it. You also talk about making peace and forgiveness work. Why is that important right now?
That's huge. You have to. One thing that Spirit showed me was that whatever you do, okay, you know how people who've had a near-death experience say that there's a light at the end of the tunnel? Mm. And you know how they say, oh my God, I saw my whole life flash before me, right? Well, yeah, that does happen. This is what Spirit showed me. But the other thing that people seem to not really talk about is what that looks like and feels like. You do not see it through your eyes where you're watching it on the big screen eating popcorn. It's not that kind of a review. It is a review through the eyes of everything, everyone, everything that you've ever come into contact with, hurt, loved, had sex with, anything, any sort of contact, even looking, if you're walking down a crowded street in New York and all these people are walking against you and there's in their mind, they're registering your face, you get to see your face through all those people.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Now here's the thing. Here's the ouchie of it.
Yeah.
If I punch you and I hurt you and I physically assault you, upon my death, I am going to feel every single blow that I did to you, every single punch, everything. Now, here's the thing. If I raise you up and I give you hope, that is amplified. And I feel that. I will feel that love that you hold in your heart for me. If I've made a difference, that energy, love is 75,000 times brighter than dark energy. It is. It illuminates the darkness, right? And everything does happen for a reason so that we can learn. But here's where forgiveness comes in. the only way to stop from feeling the punches or the blows or the pain that I inflicted on someone is to actually ask for forgiveness and it be granted. And that's the only way to completely cut a karmic tie is through forgiveness. So if you don't find forgiveness in your life on this side, you will experience what you did to them on the other side. And that's why in the Bible it says, do unto others as you'd have done unto you, because you are. We are all one. We are all one part of the conscious mind. So if someone has bad memories of you, guess what? Not only as a psychic, can I see it and hear it and experience it on this side? You're going to experience it on that side.
We have a few minutes left. I got to ask you this. And Jason and I were talking about it too. Yeah, when it goes back to normal,
yep,
he's going to come to Ontario, and we can have a bite or coffee together or something.
That'd be awesome.
Is it going back to normal, or are we going into something totally new?
I think we're going into something totally, totally beyond our level of comprehension. I think we woke up in a really sinister world, because there is a very bad hidden agenda to this.
Yeah,
this was made in Wuhan. It was made in a lab in Wuhan. I do believe it's biological warfare. And if you look at the structure even, it is not a live virus. So obviously, if it's not a live virus, it didn't come from Mama Nature. It came out of the lab. And there's a few really sick, sinister, weird things that about this COVID is that it is HIV spliced with SARS, candy coated in Corona. And that attacks the epithelial cells in the lining of the lungs. The ACE2 inhibitors it binds to, and then slowly destroys you. There are quite a few ethnic races that have more ACE2 inhibitors in their lungs than other people do. The other thing too that I found really sinister is that O blood is completely immune to this. Why would they do that? Because O blood is the universal donor. So you want to keep the O's around. It's the other ones that we don't necessarily care about if they're a certain age or whatnot. But O blood, you need them because they're the universal donors. So for anyone who's got O blood watching this, take a deep breath and then take your mask off. Leave those for the nurses who need them.
So there are a lot of conspiracy theories going around.
That's not a conspiracy theory. That's science.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, take what I said and look it up, because that's not conspiracy. I'm quoting science.
All right. But, some people think it's the deep state's ploy to oust Trump in the upcoming election. Some people think
I think that it was made to crush the economy. I think it has to do with economics and rolling out a new vaccine.
You still think that's going to happen?
Yep. And I think that we may need certificates to travel, even to prove that we've had it.
So how do you, and Jason, you got a point too. How do you move past the fear of that?
You take it one day at a time. That's all we can do, is take it one day at a time. This world is changing, but for some reason, we're all here right now experiencing this reality. Not World War I, not World War II, but we're bloody well scared of something we can't even see. At least our ancestors knew what they were scared of. They had a gun to their heads. I'd be pretty scared too. But for us, we're being sent home to play Game Boys and sit on the couch. We need to buck up and not let fear rule this, because it's purely psychological at this point. For the people who have not had the illness, because there's some people who are washing their hands raw and not leaving their house, and it's going to create quite the phobias, right? But we still have to live. We have to live. So if it makes you happy to wash your hands that many times a day and to wear your mask in public, and go ahead, but do it with love, not fear. Do it with faith, not fear. Have faith then in your mask. I'll have faith in God.
It's funny you say that. Here it's on the 11th, so it's the 11th minute.
Oh, it's 11/11.
Yeah.
Oh, happy 11/11, guys.
Yeah.
That's my number. I have it tattooed on my foot.
Jason, you had a point to this about the fear and the, you know, the conspiracy type theory stuff.
What's that?
Did you have a point you wanted to?
Actually, well, I just, like, since we got into that a little bit, I didn't know if you wanted to touch on that, but it's one thing I found interesting. I don't know if Patricia's seen this, and I haven't looked into vet this because I don't even know how, but one thing I've noticed is Facebook hasn't taken it down, and they haven't put their "this is fake news" thing on it that they've started doing, and that is that the I think it was the patent for the vaccine for the coronavirus, the number is 060606. So if you're going to get biblical, mark of the beast, 666.
Yeah.
Like, how, if that is true, because I'm not saying it's true, but I haven't seen anything that saying.
Johnny sent me the paperwork, the patent actual paperwork.
That is legit. So
That's
like,
legit. Legit.
How,
you know what the name of it is? The patent number is WO 2020-060606.
Yeah,
WO stands for World Order 2020-666.
Yeah. So when you talk about that mark of the beast bit in the Bible, because what they're thinking, the other thing is, so they're thinking about rolling out this mandatory vaccine. And like Patricia talked about, they're talking about having a vaccine certificate or something, but they're also talking about a chip in your skin. That's how they're going to track the vaccine, your vaccine record. So, wow, if they like mark of the beast, holy cow.
I don't know. I hear you, and I know like anything's possible, but my gut feeling is saying I don't think so. I think it's going to be more benign.
I hope you're right.
I hope so, because light has to win here.
It has to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, and this is what we're doing. I think, you know, we want to shed light on it, but we also want to be like, I want to be hopeful and you know, that miracles can happen because we say they can. And yeah, that's my goal. Do you see the economy coming back on board?
I think it's going to be hit really hard. I don't think this is over yet. I think it's going to be tough to bounce back.
It's funny though that.
But you know what though? At the same time, this creates creativity. It breeds inspiration and entrepreneurship. Like I know a lot of my clients, even me, like I normally have between 20 to 45 people in a class when I do my meditations. And like my first class that I had on Zoom had almost 100 people in it. And it was like, wow, I had no idea that many people even cared to see what I had to say, let alone have a class with me. So to me, it helped me reach a larger audience. And there are people that are prospering from this. And then there are other people that are not even swimming, right? So it really depends on, I personally think, where we're all at in our lives. It's so completely different. But yet the one thing that's the same is the fear factor. So we need to step out of that and raise the vibration up past that.
Yeah. And ways to do that: good physical fitness routine, meditation, forgiveness, journaling, getting rid of the angst, the anger, as Jason was alluding to. Any other ways to keep our vibe?
Prayer. I believe in the power of prayer. I really do. And open communication with your guardian angels. They're there. They're absolutely there. I've had so much stuff happen to me and I need proof. I'm a type of person that needs proof. Okay. And that's why on my website, it says the only difference between a skeptic and a believer is the experience. So for anyone right now, be open to the experience. Call on your angels and see what happens. Like just put it out there and see what happens, because that probably for me is the greatest tool. Like I have a little bit of a potty mouth, but I spend about 95% of my day in prayer. I do. When I'm quiet, chances are I'm praying. Even in the car, when I'm listening to music, I'm always chatting with my guides and my angels, and it works.
Yeah.
So open those lines of communication. And right now it's massively wide open. They know we need help right now. The realm is right there. So anyone can do it. Anyone can talk to them and hear them back. It's just a matter of who tried.
Yeah, I'm just sharing your screen. There you are. So this is where we reach you if we want to work with you, right?
I don't see anything. It says David, it says, oh, there we go. Oh, cool. Oh, cool. I didn't know you could do that on Zoom.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really neat.
And so anything upcoming we should know about tomorrow night, Friday night, or tomorrow night? Tonight, Friday night, is the meditation.
You know what? So I'm going camping for the weekend, private campground. And I will try my best to hop online and do like even a 15, 20-minute meditation with you guys on Facebook Live. Jason, I know won't be there. He's busy. Lethbridge. I think you're going to Lethbridge this weekend, aren't you? Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay. But we will. Jason, when is our next one?
Monday.
I believe we're going to do it Monday.
Okay, I'll make a post for it then. I'll make an event for it.
And then you've got online Zoom calls too that you're doing, right? When's the next?
Yes, yeah. So I'm still doing, here's the thing, I'm still doing readings in person. Mm-hmm. I have hand sanitizer everywhere. I'm in a professional building, so my business totally qualifies to still be in business, thank God. We are still allowed even groups of up to 15 as long as there's that social distance meter. Well, I've got a 2,500 square foot studio, but I'm not doing any more in studio classes. I am doing them all through Zoom. But if people feel comfortable enough, they're more than welcome to come for readings in person, or I can do it through Zoom. It really depends on what the person wants. And when you book, there's a little part in there that you can tick off and say that you want it over Zoom.
And Jason, are you doing distant Reiki? Like you can do that too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I can do distance Reiki. I can also do hypnotherapy sessions online. So in particular, I love doing past life regression, that sort of thing, and starting to get into soul regression as well. And I'm very interested to see how this turns out when you post it, because if the video and audio is working well, I've had to change my internet a bit. As soon as my internet is consistently good, I'm going to start doing some free online group hypnosis sessions, and I'll be posting it on my Facebook page. So
beautiful.
Hopefully I can start doing those this weekend.
Thank you both for this.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having us.
What a joy having you and kind of seeing you in person, because we've only, sort of been typing to each other, right?
Yeah.
For those watching, we're going to be back next week with 2 more shows. We've got some really good guests coming up. Drop us a line, write an emoji. Oh, we have a Patreon account. If you want to donate a little bit, please do. We've got 3 tiers, and one of them includes, I'll even coach you for 20 minutes, half hour a month. So it's well worth it. So please help us make this happen. Patricia, Monna, and Jason Slawosky, thank you so much for this.